It's a hive of activity here at McCool Park this evening, and among those training is the Donegal senior football team. They face the challenge of Armagh at the athletic grounds on Sunday week in the quarter-final of the Ulster Senior Football Championship. After victory over Tyrone here at McCool Park, this will present a real serious challenge for Rory Gollar and his team. Donegal TV have come along, and we've been speaking to the Donegal team manager and also to Marty Riley, who's made a big impression as a starter this year during the National League and indeed against Tyrone. It's been a big year for you. You know, you're very much part of the squad for the last few years, but very much part of the starting lineup in 2015 so far.
Yeah, thankfully, I had to bide my time there 2 or 3 years sitting, playing, I suppose, only a couple of minutes in some games, maybe a half another game, and at the end of the day, that's a lot of people have to sit and wait their time, and thankfully this year now, Rory, Gary and Jack's given me a chance, so, all you can do is put your best foot forward every time, and thankfully it's going all right so far anyway.
Yeah. How difficult is that for squad players, Marty, to be there, to be a part of it, but we all know that starting is really what it's all about. Is it difficult to really keep yourself motivated when you know you're only going to get a half or a few minutes perhaps?
Well, look at when the team's winning, it's easy because you're out there, you're doing your best to try to get some game time, but make no mistake about it, you want to be playing. At the end of the day, no one trains 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week to be sitting on the subs bench, so But then again, as I said, you have to bide your time. You have to take everyone there as to, the best of players out there. Frank McGlynn, he was only 24, 25 before he got a regular place. And sure, he's one of the most consistent players in Ulster at the minute, if not the country.
Absolutely. Well, it's a big year for you because, as I said, you got in the National League and performed very well, Marty. You looked as if you'd been there for a long, long time. And obviously, at club level, it's different because so much is expected of you. When you get into the county team, you're playing with very good players. Does it make it a little bit easier for someone like you coming in?
Yeah, certainly. If you have the likes of Michael Murphy or Carl Lacey playing a ball into you, it's on the plate for you, and all you have to do is try to kick it over the bar. Sometimes that's hard enough, But the quality of the players here in the squad, the likes of Neil McGee and everyone, makes it. They're very accommodating to the younger players coming in. I have to say that to them.
Okay. Well, whether you're young or old, the Armagh defenders won't be worrying too much about that. You'll be in with a number on your jersey in a couple of weeks' time, and it's a big day for the county going to Armagh, to the athletic grounds. Okay, the match against Tyrone was great to win, but that's history now, really, Marty.
It is. All the preparation goes to Tyrone, but now, it's totally turned to Armagh. We're going to have to be training hard, work hard, prepare hard, and leave no stone unturned again, for this game. And make no mistake about it as well, Armagh are going to be well prepared. They've Kieran McGeeney back. I suppose he's a hero in Armagh, and they're going to be doing their best for him as well. So hopefully, we'll get over the line and, hopefully to another challenge then. But we'll just take one game at a time. We have Armagh now. The full focus is on Armagh, and touch wood, we'll get over the line.
Rory, it's a few weeks now since the scene of the crime here against Tyrone. We'll not dwell too much on that, but the big thing about getting that game out of the way was the preliminary round game. Tyrone coming here with plenty to prove, and the last time we spoke to you, you were concerned about that situation because Donegal had the upper hand on them for the last few years, and sometimes that comes to an end, but thankfully not this year.
No, thankfully not. Our boys stood up to the test, and Tyrone, as expected, came with tremendous energy, and I thought they put up a great display and played some great football. But we'd be delighted with the way we kind of responded to the challenge. We played lots of good football, and we showed all our battling qualities as well to grind out a well-deserved victory. Yeah,
and just that came on the back of some very good performances in the latter stages of the league as well. Tyrone here was a must-win game down in Mayo. Well, going into it, there wasn't much at stake, but that's not the way that game was played. And although you lost to Cork, it was a good performance in Croke Park. So in competitive matches, in the build-up now to this Armagh game, Donegal have really produced some good performances.
Yeah, we'd be well pleased. We thought we built kind of steadily. We started the league reasonably well. We had 2 good displays against Derry and Dublin, and we're probably very disappointed with our own display against Monaghan and Letterkenny. And after that, we kind of turned a corner and we've built week on week. And as you say, we lost a couple of games and won a couple of games, but we were pleased with the performance and pleased with the form of a number of our senior players and then the younger lads coming in, so it built up nicely and gives a good lead in into the championship.
Yeah. The last time we spoke to you, we knew what the draw for the championship would be, and we made the point that beating Tyrone was going to set you up against Armagh, and that's where we find ourselves now, a quarter final against them in the athletic grounds. They don't come much tougher.
No, they don't come much tougher. It's a really exciting prospect of being up in Armagh when they've had a couple of home championship matches since they moved back to athletic grounds. And I remember being up at Christmas. My brother lives there and his child was being christened, and I was saying it'd be great to be back here on the 14th of June, but you can't look too far ahead. But now it's coming upon us, and it's really exciting. They're an up and coming team. I think they've got the man managing them. The whole county have been angling for our last number of years, and Kieran McGeeney, and their team on an upward curve, and it's going to present a great challenge to us.
Yeah. In terms of preparation for it or attitude, is there much difference in a match against Armagh at the Athletic Grounds than there would have been against Tyrone here in McCool Park?
No, not overly. You know, they're both very, very well drilled teams, and they're both going to present, you know, tough challenges. Albeit we feel Armagh come with a slightly different game plan than Tyrone. But the majority of our work's all about ourselves. You know, we train all year, and 90% of what we do is about ourselves. Obviously, the week 10 days coming up to a game, you taper off and you vary things according to the opposition. But we'll focus on ourselves between now and then largely.
Yeah. Loads of talk about Armagh and Donegal, very tight game in the quarter final last year. And one of the things that people are talking a lot about is the Athletic Grounds. It's a small, tight pitch, and it may not suit Donegal. But I mean, Donegal are a big, strong side. They're well able to look after themselves. Is that a consideration when you're preparing for a game like this, just the pitch area and how you might play, Rory?
Not really. No, actually, I've never measured it out. I've played on it, and it plays as quite a tight pitch. But I think it's a tight atmosphere than anything else. When you're on the field, there's not a big pile of difference between Ballybofey and it, I'm sure you know. But it will make for an intriguing atmosphere and will make me for a very intense type of atmosphere. But with regards to our own playing style, I don't think it'll matter too much.
Yeah. Well, after the Tyrone game, players went back to the club championship as well and played a couple of league games. Obviously, that's a time of concern because the last thing you want is to pick up a few injuries in either league or championship matches. It would appear anyway, looking from the outside in, that everybody's come through with a clean bill of health. If that's the case, it's a big boost.
Yeah, look, everybody's come through. There's always wee minor knocks, and I'm not overly concerned about injuries. Wouldn't overly concern me. It's more, you know, from the day we played here in Ballybofey, we 28 days to we played Armagh. We don't get back training collectively to the Tuesday week. That's 9 days lost in the preparation. That's the single biggest thing. But I also feel it does the boys no harm to get away for 6 or 7 days. You know, we've been together non-stop since the start of January, so 7 days away, playing with their mates in their clubs. In some ways, it's refreshing and brings them back. And you know, when you still have a 3-week lead-in time, I think it's fine. You know, 19 days is ample considering we've been together since January. And you know, the clubs appreciate it, and we appreciate it. The players appreciate playing for their clubs.
Yeah. How big an issue is home advantage? I mean, at one stage in the Ulster Championship, nobody hardly ever lost at home, but that's changed a bit in recent years. But having said that, I mean, you couldn't ask for a tougher test than going to Athletic Grounds to take on Armagh. Is it a big issue?
It's not something we've thought about, but then I read somewhere we've won 13 and drawn one of our last 14 games in Ballybofey, so it's a pity we couldn't play in Ballybofey again. But no, look, it's daunting. The lads went to Celtic Park last year, you know, when Derry were a form team coming into National League final, and they stood up to that challenge. I think, you know, this is just another day out for us. We've got to meet it head on. It will be a fairly intimidating atmosphere, but that makes it exciting too.
Yeah. Interesting team selection for the game against Tyrone. Colm Anthony McFadden came into the starting lineup and played an interesting role as well, Rory, and I know you're somebody who thinks a lot about the team and the tactics and where certain people might play. You caught a couple of people by surprise that day with how you lined out team out, where people played and that sort of thing. Is it a big consideration in terms of what the starting 15 will be against Armagh and how you might play?
Yeah, well, look, every day, you know, you feel certain players would suit certain games, and that goes as far as them playing in certain positions. But regarding Colm, you know, we were delighted with, you know, since he's come back into training, and I thought that he's been playing quite freely at training, and you know, obviously, you know, the general public don't get to see us training, so you know, to us it wasn't a surprise. But obviously, different people from the outside to see him there playing out the field. But I've seen him there many times for his club, and he's a brilliant user of the ball. But you know, against Armagh, probably there'll be a few things different. Armagh bring a different sort of template than Tyrone we're going to bring, so we'll adapt accordingly to that as well.
This is going to be a tough one, Rory. I mean, they don't come much tougher than Armagh. Probably an Armagh who feel they have something to prove, and as you mentioned earlier on, with Kieran McGeeney in charge for the first time in the championship, a man with a great pedigree as a player, and he did very well with Kildare, and he'd love to put one over in Donegal, wouldn't he?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. You know, he obviously, you know, Armagh as a whole probably felt they probably should have sneaked the victory last year, but you know, since I started playing inter-county football myself, Armagh have been a team that has always had a point to prove. You know, from right from 1999 to 2008, 2009, they were one of the top teams in the country. They've had a wee period of rebuilding. They want to get back there. They've been one of the top teams in the country, and I think they love it maybe in some ways when people write them off, and you know that they're coming from a really good base now. They got away in Division 3. Nobody was really had their eyes on them. They were in the quarter final last year. They'll feel that they've arrived now with a team ready to deliver. You know.
Yeah. Question marks about Donegal. I mean, could they keep the motivation going after the disappointment of last year? There's no doubt from what we saw in the tough matches in the National League and the game against Tyrone, the hunger's still there. Although some of them have been, around and played a lot of hard championship matches, you could see in the latter stages against Tyrone, it really means something to them.
Yeah, look, the lads, to be honest, I suppose I don't think I'd be standing here today if I didn't feel that was in them. But every day you're questioned, and I suppose the longer you go on, the longer you play, people like to write your obituary, But the lads, it's not that they're out to prove people wrong, they're out to prove that they can still compete at the highest level every single day. We see the way they train and prepare themselves, so we would feel the signs are always going to be there. But until, I suppose, 20 minutes into a championship match, sometimes you don't really know. And league football is league football, and there's a huge step up, and thankfully they stepped up. It was far from a perfect performance, but you'd be pleased with their attitude and their will to win.
It'll be a surprise if it's not tough in the early stages in the athletic grounds. Donegal have shown themselves to be well able to handle themselves. You have plenty of big men out there, strong players, but cool heads will be the order of the day as well. Perhaps the same as we saw from Michael Murphy here in the match against Tyrone. The last thing you want is people getting black cards and red cards to make it even more difficult than it might otherwise be, Rory.
Yeah, look, we definitely won't be surprised, because it will be tough, for a start. And, I think, discipline is a huge part. I think that all the successful teams in any sport, they've got an exceptional disciplinary record, and we're the same. There's no good dust with star players or any players getting black or red cards, but at the same time, I think there's probably maybe too much scrutiny on Ulster. It's because it's so competitive. Ourselves and Tyrone, no matter what way people look at, are two of the top 8 teams in the country. We're going head to head at it. There's a lot of stake. There's no other game in the country played, and I don't think there will be in June, where two of the top 8 teams are playing. Maybe Galway Mayo are playing now, I think mid-June, but that's the reality of it. I think both teams shook hands at the end of it and moved on.
What's the prediction then? Are you confident Donegal can come out with a victory and move on through the front door rather than have to go on the long journey through the back door, Rory?
Well, there's no doubt the front door is the route we want. The Ulster Championship means an awful lot, not just to myself but to the entire county, I think, and the players. So it is, we have Armagh now, we've earned the right to play them. That's something we wanted, and we've always got great confidence in our players no matter who they play against, but every day you go out you've got to prove it, and that's the challenge for us now over the next 10 or 11 days.
So that's it. You've heard from Rory Gallagher and Marty O'Reilly. We wish them all the very best in the match against Armagh in the athletic grounds. This is Charlie Collins at McCool Park in Ballybofey for Donegal TV.